morning, everybody, and welcome back to Newsmakers. This is Nicole Miller on 1490 WDAN, and we have an awesome guest this morning. We have Mr. Ripper the Clown.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. This guy, the more I have learned about you, the more I'm just like, how have I not met you before? Like, you're just kind of all over the place in Danville.
Yeah, and the surrounding communities too from time to time.
Yeah, for sure.
I love keeping active and always having a project going on and always working on something, some event or some book. It's creativity. It's just a part of me. So it's something that even if I'm not actively working on something at the moment, my mind is thinking about what's next.
Right, and you just came off of VillainCon this last weekend. How did that go?
Yeah, VillainCon was great.
I've had this sickness, so I haven't been making it out in the community that much in the last couple of weeks. But
the guests were amazing. I sold a lot of books. We had a good time. Philo Barnhart, I love that guy. He was there. He's the master animator of so many things. Secret of Nim, Dragon's Lair, Gem, the Smurfs, Super Friends. I mean, and so he told me this amazing story about, he also told Scott Eisenhower when Scott came through, this amazing story about working on the set of Mary Poppins. He was in Mary Poppins, and he told us how, what his scene was all about, and it was just, talking to him was just amazing.
That's really cool, because, I mean, for him to come to Danville, and with Dick Van Dyke and everything, and then to talk about Mary Poppins, that's really cool.
Yes, and, so it was kind of cool for me. I did a little interview with Philo, which will be on my YouTube channel soon, Ripper the Clown Show, if you'd like to check it out. And so I told him it was kind of interesting that unpredictable cartoon character come to life, meeting the animator of so many, legendary and iconic cartoon characters.
That's awesome. There was a lot of other big names too.
Oh, yes.
There was like a bunch of Power Rangers there. I was all excited about the Power Rangers. That was my show growing up. My sister and I. That was our jam. It was the Power Rangers. And who else? There were
some people from Star Trek there. Ari Lehman, the first Jason from Friday the 13th, was there. They had Green Jello performing.
Wow.
It was a great weekend, and I was happy to get to be there. I got to interview Stephen Williams on stage. We talked for about 20 minutes about the Blues Brothers, and part of the Blues Brothers, so I'm told, was filmed in Danville at Continental Filming, I believe is what my Ripper the Clown's dad told me. And so I got to talk to Stephen about John Belushi, and John Belushi is a big inspiration for my comedy. I mean, John Belushi to me is an icon. He was a genius. He can make people laugh by just raising an eyebrow, or maybe saying things that leading people on to think he's talking about one thing, but then twist it into talking about something else, or visually doing something else. And that's not the type of comedy that you see today. The comedy today is crude. It's rude. It's kind of toilet type of humor. But Belushi was a real genius where he could perform and do relatable situational comedy. So talking to Stephen Williams, who not only worked on the Blues Brothers, but who knew John Belushi, that was just a real honor for me. Absolutely. And you can look that up on Ripper the Clown Show on YouTube as well. I'll be posting that video rather soon. And Stephen, he was just a great guy, and he just loved talking about the Blues Brothers, and he told some amazing stories.
That's really awesome. And speaking of icons, I mean, we all know that Dick Van Dyke is coming back to town.
Yes. and another, big inspiration in my comedy career. Again, a master at doing situational comedy, all the classics, Stan Laurel, Groucho Marx, Phil Silvers, all these guys who, and Charlie Chaplin, the silent films, who had to convey comedy through emotion and not verbally. All of these guys are big inspirations in my life. And I hear a lot of comedians talk about their inspirations, and they're just comedians who've been out in the past 10 years. To me, those classic comedians are the people who forged what comedy is. And not only did they forge what comedy is today, but they did so under censorship. So they had to be funny without being, again, like I said earlier, crude and rude and going to the lowest common denominator to get a cheap laugh. And Dick Van Dyke would be one of those comedic inspirations. There's a lot of references directly to Dick Van Dyke in my novels. In my cell phone zombies comedy video, I mentioned Dick Van Dyke, and I went to his house on Hazel, and I fell in the yard, and we got that on tape. And, he was a master of so many things, and one of which I love doing is the one-sided phone call, where you only see and hear what Rob Petrie would be saying to whoever's on the other end of the phone. I love doing that. I did that in the cell phone, zombies comedy video, and numerous references to Dick Van Dyke in all of my work, and he's an icon and a TV legend, and he's Danville's favorite comedian, past, present, and future.
Absolutely. The fact that he's coming back here, I mean, the excitement in the air, you can feel it. You know, everybody's talking about it, and the big, you know, he's doing several, well, not several events, but the big one at the high school, and man, I just think it's really cool that he gets to come back here like one last time, you know.
And a dear friend of mine, she got the role of Mary Poppins at the high school.
Right.
That's going to be amazing.
That's awesome.
And you know, it's just I love, and I even did a rap out at Sleepy Creek Vineyards with Jimbei Jake. It was an impromptu. No one knew we were going to do it. We got up there and we did it.
Right.
And I incorporated Rob Petrie into the rap, and I love that line in the episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show called The Gunslinger, where he says that he's a slinger turned singer turned rancher turned dancer turned parson turned sheriff.
Right.
And you can even tell if you watch it, and I watched it a lot, that you could tell the look on his face. He was like really proud that he nailed that line.
Right.
So I incorporated that into the rap, because not only do I like the line, but I always want to redefine myself as a performer and reinvent myself. And not only that, but challenge myself.
Sure.
So being able to crank out that line in a live rap was really a fun moment for me.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but paying homage to Dick Van Dyke.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he's just a legend, and it's hard not to just love him, because his style of comedy, like you were talking about the different styles, I mean, his style, he's a lovable guy.
Yes,
he can really, anything can fly out of his mouth.
Yes.
And you're going to smile.
and it's everything, you know, case in point, Rob Petrie and Dick Van Dyke, the mannerisms, everything about him. And I don't know how many people have seen his movie called The Comic, which was inspired by Dick Van Dyke's love of silent films and talking about silent film comedians during the filming of the Dick Van Dyke Show. And it's about a silent film comedian. He plays Billy Bright, who's a silent film comedian. It kind of follows him throughout his career. And that movie, when I saw it a few years ago, inspired me to start doing contemporaneous silent films. Nice. Because I've always loved silent films anyway, but it was just seeing that movie made me think, you know, I could do silent films.
Sure.
And it's kind of an unheralded, unappreciated classic. So if you love Dick Van Dyke, look up The Comic. Absolutely.
We're going to take another break. We will be right back with Ripper the Clown. This is Nicole Miller on Newsmakers.